want to discuss whether your child knows how to know the bad guy and the ability to say no to a bad situation, a bad person, or somebody who is going to put them in the wrong direction. So I'm going to cover a few things today, and the main thing I want to talk about is street smarts. Does your child have it? If your child has the street smarts, they'll know when to say no to a bad guy, a bad girl, a bad situation. I grew up in a city, and to me, some of the kids had very good street smarts. I'd like to say we knew where not to go, what decisions to be made that would prevent something bad happening. And it could be anything from getting bullied, getting into fights, getting into a dangerous situation, being with bad people, knowing when to say no to a bad guy or a bad situation. When I say bad guy, again, a guy could be a girl, it could be a situation. So I'm going to use it as know the bad guy, as in know the bad situation and understand what it takes to say no to something bad. So does your child have it? That's what we'll go over today. And then you can see if this is something that interests you in talking to your child about it. Now, my book, Know the Bad Guy is to Know the Bad Guy. You could like and subscribe, and down below you could get the book, but I'm going to cover all these things that are in the book here on this video and in the videos to come. I think there'll be scenarios that you would like which would pertain to certain kids, whether they're very young or kids who are getting a little older and now are exploring things like the internet. But you start young, and the whole idea is to have conversation. Whether you're having conversation about what not to do, how not to start a fire in your house, how not to put your finger in a wall socket, and that's for very young kids. And we all take it for granted. So when your child is walking around outside during the summer and you're having a party, and say you have a large pool outside, it's important that they don't go near the pool, but it's more important that you have conversations so the children know if they can't swim, not to go near the pool. It sounds so simple, but if you read every summer in the newspapers about children falling into pools, you hear about houses going on fire because kids do silly things, to just general things around the house where children could write on the wall and you don't know about it. But the whole idea is to elicit conversation when they're very young. So when they get older and they have to deal with things like bullying, and they have to deal with things in school, and they're not really sure how to talk about it. But if you start out young, you're giving them street smarts. And that is really the purpose of many of these upcoming videos, is to break it down and see if your child has the street smarts, and to see if they'll know what to do if somebody should say to them, "I lost my dog. Would you come with me and help me find my dog?" Now, is your child smart enough to say, hey, maybe that's not something good? They'll understand by you having conversations with them that they have to be able to say no to a stranger who wants to take them away from a safe situation. So one of the good examples that I feel like I've used throughout the years is my own son, who I've used this technique on. And yes, it's the dad technique, and I've always been a security conscious person. So that I would say to them, know the bad guy. You can't do that because something potentially bad could happen. So the story goes, my son in his first year of college said to me, "Dad, I went to a party and one or two of the kids were drinking really heavy. And as a new young college student, I was asked, hey, take a shot, 2 more shots. And there was one kid who took too many shots. And I knew it wasn't the right thing. And of course, in the back of my head, I hear, know the bad guy. So on his shoulder, he had the angel and the devil. And should I take a shot? Should I really be cool? And in his mind, he said no. So as the evening goes on, the kids are drinking pretty heavily. And the kid who is drinking way too much ends up leaving the party and falling down a flight of stairs and smashing his head on a mailbox at the bottom of the stairs. And my son witnessed the whole thing, and he goes, oh my God, if I would have kept drinking, something bad could have happened. Now, fortunately, that kid ended up, in the hospital, not dead, who had drank so much, and he was in the hospital for quite a few days. But that little message, when my son came back from college and told me that story, he goes, all those corny, know the bad guy, and dad, things we talked about when we were young, all of a sudden became very relevant to me. And from that day on, I will always think of that and decisions that have to be made. But it all started when he was very young. So again, street smarts, knowing when to say no, what is knowing the bad guy, and how to say no. So, you know, throughout these videos, I'll try to explain a lot of different things. We'll go through a lot of different scenarios. So the main thing is you want to understand and know what the bad situation or know the bad guy to be able to say, know the bad guy. And that's what we'll talk about. So there is a book. If you guys want to, you could get the book. I know it's not showing properly here, but you could get the book. We're going to cover everything in the book in these videos. The book is good. You could follow along. You could watch the videos. Like and subscribe so I could get a lot of these really educational videos out. And it's really so that you could learn, and you could learn how to elicit information and talk to your kids. So when they come home from school and they have a situation, it's going to be easy to talk about, because you could always show them a page in the book. If a page in the book relates to something they saw in school, such as a possible bullying situation, or some stranger coming up to talk to them, or possibly somebody touching them inappropriately, you'll be able to share what's inside this book. And again, we'll go through a lot of these in our scenarios in the upcoming videos. So like and subscribe, and know the bad guy.